All right, this is the atmosphere that Donald Trump has come into. The average Americans don't vote because they're just disenchanted with the entire thing. They think they're all crooks. It doesn't matter. And for people to scoff and say, oh, well, there's no proof of that. Oh, it can't be true.
Yes.
I'm sorry, man. I just think that's a little bit naive. Yeah, I mean...
So you're talking
You know
about...
a debate is about to go off the rails when someone walks in full of confidence, then starts folding the second they're asked one simple question. What evidence do you actually have? That's exactly what you're about to see here, as James O'Brien completely dismantles a Trump supporter who came in ready to make bold claims, but clearly wasn't ready to defend them once the pressure started building. Before we dive into the full story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Now, full transparency. This clip is from a few years back. It isn't brand new, but even though it's older, the reason it still matters is because the mindset on display hasn't changed at all. In fact, a lot of people would argue it's only gotten worse. The talking points may shift, the names may rotate, but the pattern stays exactly the same. Loud certainty, zero proof, and total confusion the moment someone pushes back. I know many people watching may not have seen this exchange before, and honestly, it's worth revisiting. Because sometimes older clips explain today's political climate better than anything happening right now. They show how these narratives were built, how misinformation spreads, and how some people become completely convinced of things they can't actually explain. So we're going to watch this unfold, piece by piece. And once it's over, I'll give you my take on what really happened here. Because this wasn't just one awkward conversation. It was a snapshot of a much bigger problem.
All right, this is the atmosphere that Donald Trump has come into. The average Americans don't vote because they're just disenchanted with the entire thing. They think they're all crooks. It doesn't matter. And for people to scoff and say, oh, well, there's no proof of that. Oh, it can't be true.
Yes.
I'm sorry, man. I just think that's a little bit naive. Yeah, I mean...
So you're talking about an environment of... Because Trump is the crook that they thought all politicians were, but he comes...
But the thing is he's an honest crook, mate. Like, there's no, you know what I'm saying? He's not hiding it. You know, you say that, oh, Biden sounded like a statesman. Like, that's a good thing.
Yes.
It's not.
Right.
It's somebody who spent their life being a polished liar, taking corporate agenda and pushing it through.
Are you describing what you... Are you describing what you think now, or what you think they think?
This is what I believe, and this is what I've spoken to many of my friends back in America. We talk about these things, you know, and you've got the whole media juggernaut as well.
If I asked you to persuade me that Joe Biden was a polished liar, what would you do?
I just pointed his 50-year career.
Yeah, well, go on.
How else could he possibly stay in power? I mean, this is the whole
that's
thing
a
about
question.
Trump,
That's a question, not an answer.
From outside.
No, I know, but I just want you to.
I'll be honest with you, man. I don't have any facts because I didn't know anything about Joe Biden before I heard his name as the elector.
But you're absolutely certain that he spent half a century lying.
If he's a politician, he's been in the job for that long. I don't see how he could avoid it.
But you just said you'd never heard of him before last year.
I don't need to hear.
He was vice president.
This is what I think of average American.
Shouting louder doesn't make any more sense because he was vice president for 8 years.
Right. Again, I'd never heard of him.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of him.
I mean, is it fair to suggest? Is it fair to suggest that you may not be the best qualified commentator on American politics?
I'm just trying to give you a look into.
And I am. You've given me a very interesting look, Jim.
I'm the average person as well.
You may be, but you've admitted you know absolutely nothing, but you're certain of your prejudices.
I'm certain that this is the way that it's going to be looked at by the people like Trump's followers.
No, that's why I said to you, are you telling me what you think, or are you telling me what you think they think?
I'm telling you what I think. I'm telling you.
And you think that Joe Biden,
between my friends that I've spoken to about the subject?
No, I understand that. I mean, I find it horrible what you're describing, but I don't think you're lying. I think you're being honest. So you can look at Donald Trump and see what you described as an honest crook, and there is all the evidence of his wrongdoing that goes back 50 years. And you know, we could make a list. We'd be here until Christmas.
Yep. The man's got immense character flaws.
Not character flaws. Criminality.
I do not think he's he's a good person.
But then you've got Joe Biden over there, and you've got no evidence whatsoever of his malfeasance or misbehaviour, but you're absolutely convinced he's a wrong 'un. So would you mind if I...
Again, I'd refer back to the Panorama program that I saw, which appalled me.
Yes, but was he in it?
People, a news crew can go over, pretend to be a lobbyist.
But was Joe Biden in? Was Joe Biden in it?
No.
So
he was not in it.
I've got two questions. Do you recognise on any level how ridiculous you sound? And I say that affectionately.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I suppose so. So now.
And the second question is who did this to you? Where do you think this came from? Because you weren't born like this. At some point in the last 50 years, you've become a man who's absolutely convinced of things despite having no evidence for it whatsoever. How do you think that happened?
Because I have been pulled over, and I have had police in America rewrite the arrest report, and I have had basically lies told in court about me, and I have had trouble in America.
And that's how you know that Joe Biden is not to be trusted.
This is my personal experience with the establishment.
Oh, what?
Okay,
Being pulled over by police in America.
That's right.
Okay. Well, it's been interesting talking to you, Jim.
I had a can of beer. That was unopened.
There's more.
Unopened in my car.
Yes.
And they wrote it up as an open container. And I ended up with a DUI.
And that's how you know that Joe Biden is corrupt.
And honestly, that's exactly why I wanted to bring this clip back. Even though it came from 2021, here we are years later, and the same pattern is still staring everyone in the face. Nothing has changed. The slogans may be different, the excuses may be updated, but the logic is still completely upside down. What you just watched was someone rush to blame Joe Biden for everything imaginable while admitting they had no actual evidence to support any of it. None. Not one clear fact, not one solid example, not one coherent argument. Just emotion, assumptions, and recycled talking points. That has become far too common in modern politics. And let's talk about the most revealing moment of all. This person described Donald Trump as an honest crook. Think about that for a second. They openly acknowledged serious flaws, openly recognized wrongdoing, and still tried to frame it as some kind of positive because at least it was honest. That tells you everything you need to know about how far political loyalty can push people. Standards disappear when the right person is involved. Meanwhile, Joe Biden was labeled corrupt with absolutely nothing to back it up. No facts, no receipts, no substance. Just accusations thrown into the air and repeated as if repetition somehow turns fiction into reality. It doesn't. That's the political environment so many people are dealing with right now, where image matters more than truth, where outrage matters more than evidence, and where some voters treat politicians like heroes or villains instead of public servants who should be judged by facts. It's wild to watch, but it's also important to understand, because conversations like this reveal a much bigger issue than one caller or one debate. They show how misinformation and blind loyalty can shape entire movements. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. I appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.